Hello everyone, welcome to SI UK Japan webinar. Thank you for joining us today. We are now live with Regent College London. Over to you, Mirai.
Thank you, Jessica. 皆さん、こんにちは。SIUK 留学コンサルタントの柏村と申します。弊社のウェビナーにご参加いただき、誠にありがとうございます。本日は、リージェントカレッジロンドンにつきましてご案内をいたします。それでは、リージェントカレッジロンドンの担当官である、スコットさんにプレゼンテーションを始めていただきたいと思います。Hello, Scott.
Hi.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We just finished the introduction. So if you're ready, shall we start the presentation?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mirai.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It's a great privilege to be back in Japan, albeit virtually. I have spent some time in Japan, but miss it terribly, I have to say. And anyway, my name is Scott Bushell. I am the head of the English Language Department at Regent College London. And today I'd like to give you an overview of Regent College, introduce it to you, but also talk a bit about our International Foundation, our Bachelor's and Master's programs, which are all starting from January 2022, so next year. And I understand from Mirai that there's quite a range of different students here today, so I will try to cover in as much detail as anybody wants those different programs. But let's start with a little bit about what I do and why I'm here today. So as head of English, I am responsible for English language and academic study skills support on all of the programs. So I will be talking about our academic courses to some extent from the perspective of English language and the communication skills that you will require to be successful on your courses. So apologies if I talk about English, but it is my passion. And I think it's really important that international students have an insight into how we are going to help you and support you with language skills, but also communication and intercultural skills, which I'll talk about later. One of the reasons I'm here today is because I have a considerable background teaching and organizing training programs for Japanese people, both business people, professional people, but also university students. And I used to run a school in North London for Japanese expatriates living in London, and also for Japanese university students who needed help with their English while they were studying at UCL or University of Arts or wherever they were studying. So yeah, I do have an insight into some of the challenges that Japanese students face when they come to the UK. And I'd like, if you'll allow me, to talk a little bit about that later. And then we can talk a little bit about how we can help you to overcome the challenges which are specific to Japanese students. I mean, all international students will face challenges when studying in a different country, but I'd like to talk specifically about Japanese students, if that's okay. And then towards the end of the presentation, I will be talking about the subject areas of each of our three schools. We have three schools within Regent College, and I'll give you an overview and some insight into the course programs and the type of things you'll be studying, okay? So there's a lot to get through. I hope that you've got 40 minutes to give me, 40 minutes of your precious time. Anyway, let's start with an overview of Regent College, if I can just move that on. Yeah, so we're 20 years old. And we were set up in 2000 mainly to provide vocational, career-oriented and practical academic programs for people living in London. So all of the courses that we offer were very vocationally focused on helping people to either get a promotion or to get back into work, or to change career. So we've always had an emphasis on the work ethic. The programs that we offer to international students are all approved and accredited by the University of Bolton. So we are in effect the London campus for the University of Bolton. Now, if you don't know University of Bolton, it's located in the north of England, close to Manchester. It's a very good, very solid university. It is number 46 in the university rankings. So it's not a Russell group, but it is in the top 50. Last year, it was number 50. This year, it is number 46. So it's gradually rising through the university rankings. And as I say, we are the London campus. So you might be thinking, well, why don't I go to University of Bolton? Why do I need to come to Regent College and study University of Bolton courses? Well, the answer to that really is that because we're in central London, a lot of students will prefer to study with us rather than study in the north of England. As I'm sure many of you know, there are multiple benefits to studying in London. There are also benefits to studying in Bolton, but we are for students who want to study in the capital city. University of Bolton courses, and I'll go through those courses later, what we offer. We have 3 schools within Regent College. One is business and enterprise, focusing on business MBA, masters in international management, and also international foundation years in business management. We have a school of allied health for those wishing to develop a career, develop their knowledge within the sector of health, social care, well-being. And finally, the 3rd school is a school of computing and AI for those wanting to focus on computing and software engineering. And again, I'll go into a bit more detail about that later. We also will have a 4th school by the end of this month, and that will be a school of engineering. Unfortunately, I won't be able to talk about courses for that just yet. We're only offering those courses to home students, but hopefully next time I see you, I can talk a little bit more about the School of Engineering. Just to reassure everybody, we are regularly inspected by QAA, the Quality Assurance Agency, and we have excellent results in the National Student Survey. The overall student satisfaction score was 90%, that's 90%. And that was greater than the average sector score by 15%. So our student satisfaction rate is really very high, very strong, and it's growing. And one of the reasons for that is the way that we dealt with the shift from face-to-face teaching to online during the COVID period. I'm happy to say we are back on campus, although some students are still preferring to study online, digitally, but at the moment students have that choice. You, if you come to Regent College, will be studying on campus. And again, more of that later if you'd like details. Just to give you an idea of our location, we actually have 5 centres around London. The flagship centre, if you like, the headquarters is in Great Titchfield Street in central London. Regent College London is because we are close to Regent Park. We are 15 minutes walk from Regent's Park, 5 minutes from Oxford Street, 15 minutes in the other direction for the British Museum. And you can be in Clerkenwell, Moorgate, the City of London, the financial City of London, in only 30 minutes, okay? So we are really very, very centrally located, and we're very proud of that. And for all of our international students and some of the British students who are studying MBAs or master's programs and also foundation programs, they will also be studying in the central London campus. The other centres are a bit further out in Harrow. We have a sixth form college for under 18s in Harrow. We have a centre in Southall, Kingsbury and Wembley. But those will not affect you because you'll be studying in central London. Okay. Just a word about our current student body. Our current students are all home students at the moment. We have 5,000 students, so it's a small student body, but we are growing. And they comprise a really multicultural mix of different nationalities. Of course, British, but in addition to that, European, African, Asian, and Middle Eastern. And that's really great. We are very proud of the fact that we are a multicultural college, and we embrace that in our teaching. And students that come to us want also to improve their intercultural skills and multicultural outlook on life. The average age of students is 30, so it's quite mature, the average age. We tend to attract people currently who are, as I said, maybe changing careers or have done extended study and now want to do a vocational degree or program, but the average age about 30. And I think the good thing about that is if you are a younger student coming into that environment, you can learn a lot from somebody who is older, and equally older people, more mature people can learn a lot from younger people. So we hope that that age difference, if there is an age difference, will be a benefit, not a negative factor. We're very serious about supporting all of our students, but especially our international students, because they will come with questions and differences that need to be addressed, and they need a little bit more care and understanding compared to home students who are living in the UK. So what we do is we provide a dedicated student support officer to advise students on matters other than academic. So you will have a first point of contact if you have any problems with accommodation or food or transport, cost of living, anything like that. The student support officer will be there to support you along with others. And then we also have a dedicated academic support officer who is charged with looking after all things academic and any problems that you have with your academic work or study or attending the course. If you don't understand something, the academic support officer will be there to support you in addition to your tutor, in addition to the assistant director of the department or faculty and the director himself or herself of the department or faculty. So there are multiple points of contact to support you both inside the lecture or classroom and also outside. So we take student support, student satisfaction very, very seriously. Outside of the classes and the learning, we also provide events in and around London for our international students. And we also have a really good program of extracurricular teaching seminars and sessions that you can join. And these are what we call scope sessions. I'll talk a bit about them later, but they're really good regarding equipping you with the practical skills rather than the academic, the practical skills that you will need to be able to be successful in your future careers. And we talk and we focus on things like leadership, intercultural skills, emotional intelligence, the things that sometimes universities, colleges don't really focus on, but we feel are really essential for you to be able to implement that academic knowledge and put it into practice. And I'll talk a bit about that later, as I said. We have 4 intakes across the year. A lot of other colleges have 2. we have 4, September, January, April, and June. So multiple entry points throughout the year. And finally, we're proud to say that we have an active policy of widening access and participation, which means that we want all students from all walks of life, all different status within society to be able to access our courses. And to that end, we are offering our courses at a very affordable price. And I can give you details of that later. We're also offering very generous scholarships and bursaries. It is our first year in the international market, so we want to be attractive to international students, but also we want everybody to have that opportunity to study in the UK. And it's a great time, incidentally, to study in the UK. Brexit has perhaps made us a bit more internationally focused, so it's really good. Not so good for people in the EU at the moment, perhaps, but for our international markets, international students elsewhere, it's a really good time to come to the UK. Okay, just a little bit more. I mean, I mentioned that we are career focused, vocational focusing courses. Just wanted to talk a little bit more about that. So the reason that we've chosen the schools and our courses that they offer is because they deliver employment opportunities to our students. We want our students to be able to go straight into work, if indeed that is their desire. Other students will want to progress to further education, a higher level program. So we also understand that. But as I say, and as I want to emphasize, a lot of our students are really focused on promoting themselves, getting themselves into a job and to work. Being in central London, we have a really good network of connections with local employers, local companies, and we are arranging placements for students on our courses, on certain courses, that is. So we're really serious about getting students, a placement or an internship while they're doing the course at some point during the course. In terms of our tutors, many of them come from industry. They are industry professionals, high-level researchers as well, and they will come with their own network within their respective sectors, so health, business, or computing. So we want you to be able to leverage those connections when you're looking for work. And we're continuously revising the course content to reflect changes in respective sectors as they happen. And of course, probably the best example I can give you is health. We've rewritten the course material to include COVID and how the sector has adapted to COVID. And that's really important to use those case studies in the health and well-being courses that we offer. We also offer students careers advice. We have a dedicated careers advice officer, Stephen Roach, who will be there to advise you. He has great connections in industry, and again, he can leverage those on your behalf to get you some work experience or even permanent work. We, as the English department, can support you with preparing for job interviews. We can help you with your CV, and that is really very valuable, that practice that you're going to get, a real life practice for real life work. So yeah, just to kind of emphasize really that we're very serious about the career that you will go on to. So now I'd like to return to the subject of challenges. I don't want to be negative, but I do think that it's important that we in the UK, receiving international students, understand some of the challenges that our students will face when they come. And like I say, I've spent a lot of time with Japanese students, and these are the tendencies that I've observed. I don't want to be stereotypical, but I think you'll probably agree that these are some of the areas that need attention when you come and you study and you live in the UK. So I've divided them into language and culture. Firstly, language. Linguistically speaking, a lot of Japanese, whether they're professionals or students, when they come to the UK, their main issue is speaking and listening. So they have a lot of passive knowledge of grammar, good knowledge of vocabulary through studying Eiken and such exams. But the issue that they face is actually activating that knowledge. And so whereas some UK students or European students may interpret Japanese as being slightly shy, it's also often, that is true of Japanese students, but it's also often because they're a little bit shy about the speaking and the listening. So we are there to support you on that, and to make sure that your classmates understand that. Other nationalities, like, for example, Italians, may have issues in terms of accuracy. And so we need to take that into account when we're teaching and working with our Italian students. But for the Japanese, it's more about fluency. And again, if we are conscious of that, then we can really help you with that within the academic classes, but also outside when you're socializing, when you need to integrate, we can be there to support you. And again, the student support officer, the English department will be there to support you on that. In terms of vocabulary, probably through the Japanese education system, you've probably learned more formal vocabulary rather than colloquial, idiomatic, phrasal verb vocabulary. So when you first come to the UK, that can be a bit of a shock. The language being used in spoken English on the TV, for example, in most of your interactions will actually be a lot more informal than you expect. So there'll be a transition for you to go from formal to a more informal style. So by the time you finish your studies with us, you'll have access to both formal and informal language and vocabulary. And again, we are very conscious of that. And yeah, as I say, just to reiterate, passive knowledge versus active use. On our courses, because we're a smaller college, because the group size is smaller, and because we do a lot of small group work and pair work, you'll have the opportunity to gradually implement and activate all that passive knowledge. We believe very much in a task-oriented approach to tasks on your respective courses. So you'll be doing a lot of discussion, problem solving, you'll be holding mini meetings to discuss with your classmates. You'll also be giving joint presentations with your classmates and sometimes individual presentations. So you will have an opportunity to really build your confidence through those exercises, and those will help you to be more confident and to communicate more confidently. Yeah, so culturally, a lot of you may never have been to the UK, you may never have been to Europe. So there is going to be a bit of a culture shock in terms of course, the weather, the food, and also the communication style. Just to say and pre-warn you that, you know, sometimes there can be a little bit of conflict over communication style, because European people, including British, do tend to interrupt if they don't understand, and that can sometimes make Japanese people feel a little bit the other interlocutor is impolite. It's not impolite on our part. We just like to keep the conversation going. So that's something that perhaps you'll have to get used to. And you may even adopt a slightly different communication style after living in the UK. You may start actually to interrupt others, which may feel very foreign at the beginning, but you'll kind of get used to it. But anyway, we will equip you with the type of language to be able to interrupt without feeling awkward or rude or impolite. Anyway, just to flag up to you, the communication style is a bit different, and you will need to get used to that. When we talk about culture, we're also talking about the different work and study style in the UK compared to in Japan. If you have studied in Japan and then you're coming to the UK, you might think that the study style is different. It's true that you will be expected to be more learner focused. You will be expected to do more self-study, perhaps compared to that in Japan. But that doesn't mean to say that you don't have interaction with your tutors. But just be aware, perhaps more self-study work than perhaps you're used to. And from my experience, Japanese people coming to the UK want their home comforts. They like to be, for example, near a transport hub, near the underground. Luckily, we are very, very close to the underground. We're also close to parks and gardens, which again, a lot of Japanese students really love and appreciate. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of highlight those things so that you know that we know what the challenges might be. Some of you may not have any of those challenges, and that's great. But for others, I think it's important to communicate that we understand how you're feeling and how we're going to help you overcome those things. So, for example, on the International Foundation Year, if any of you here today are thinking of International Foundation Year, 30% of the International Foundation Year in the Business Management course and also the Health and Social Care course, 30% is dedicated to English language progression. The entry level, the Ielts entry level, is a level 5 for this course. And over the year, we would expect you to reach at least a level 6 or 6.5 even, given the input that we are going to be focusing on. So I'd just like to talk a little bit about some of the skills that we're going to be focusing on. So speaking skills, as I mentioned, it's really something we're going to help you with in the International Foundation. Pronunciation, of course, but really fluency, not worrying so much about making mistakes, but actually communicating, conveying your ideas confidently and convincingly. Paraphrasing, being able to say different things in different ways, being able to read, for example, an academic text and translating that into spoken English, because written English is different from spoken English. So we will help you with that. Broadening your vocabulary. Obviously, vocabulary that you'll be working on will be sector specific, and the language that you're using will be sector specific. So that's great. You'll be building a broad library of words, and you'll be able to access that in the future courses that you take. But fundamentally, we want you to be confident and be able to have the confidence to speak up and say what you want to say without feeling inhibited. So speaking skills, listening skills. So, again, one of the issues that you might face, first of all, is understanding native speaker English. It's fast, we push words together. So that's something that we need to get you used to so that you can understand, the lectures that you're going to be attending, and also for everyday life, watching TV, watching films. We can help you with that. And also, of course, important with listening, if you can listen effectively, then you can respond effectively. And that's something that's an obvious thing to say, but it's surprising. Listening is also about getting ready to be able to respond in a precise, accurate, and confident manner. Writing skills will help you with, obviously, the paragraphing, the difference between formal and informal English and register, academic vocabulary, making sometimes your writing a little bit more academic, looking at accuracy in terms of grammar, punctuation, spelling, and making sure that you answer the question that you've been set, because that's easy to go off on a tangent and to lose track of what you're trying to say. We can help you with that. And we want you to be able to build a convincing argument in your writing. And finally, reading, being able to read fast and extract the information that you need to be able, again, to write and build your argument. So we will help you with that. Sorry, last but not least, language and vocabulary. So it's just at the bottom there. We want you to build your vocabulary, as I said earlier, again, and language, which is really specific to your subject area, whether you're talking about marketing, whether you're talking about data, whether you're talking about health. We want you to have the right vocabulary, precise vocabulary, to be able to say what you need to say. On all of our programs, the International Foundation, the Bachelors and the Masters, you will be developing your academic and study skills. So we'll be helping you with critical analysis, again, thinking about how you build your argument, how you convey that argument, weighing up the advantages and disadvantages, not just one point of view, but several points of view, and also referencing those points of view. We use the Harvard referencing style, and we'll make sure that you can use that effectively, obviously avoiding plagiarism, note-taking. So, for example, when you are attending a lecture, you're able to take notes throughout that lecture, which you can then use in your writing. And that's a really quite challenging skill, to listen to an hour, take notes at the same time. So you're actually using your listening and your writing. That can be really quite challenging. But we're going to help you, and we're going to give you some tips on how to do that. And then finally, the information communication and technology skills and library skills that all students need. And you're going to have access not only to our library, but also, of course, University of Bolton library, ebooks, e-library. So you've got total access to University of Bolton as well as our resources. Moving on, just a last word about culture. I've probably been talking about intercultural skills a lot, but it's something that I think is so important if you are working in a multinational company, if you're working abroad, if you have to expatriate to a different country, or if indeed you're working for a multicultural company back in Japan, there may be skills. You may be working with people from many different cultures, and I think it's worth talking about intercultural skills and also communication skills. I mentioned presentation, being able to present confidently, convincingly, but also negotiating. Whether you're negotiating a contract, whether you're negotiating a deal in business, or whether you're negotiating supplies for a hospital, these skills are something that we want to develop in you, practical skills. I mentioned managing meetings, we'll help you with that. And very importantly, socializing, making sure that you can socialize effectively, not just within the class, but outside, and indeed integrate into the university society, but also the London society. So it's something we're conscious of, we're going to help you with. And just to finish by saying that when we talk about cultures, when I talk about cultures, I'm not just talking about national cultures, Italy, Japan, Russia, and so on. We're also talking about the university culture. What is Regent College culture? How will you feel when you come to that? And we're very small, we're very adaptive, we're very caring, we're very consumer-centric as a college, and we have our own culture compared to other colleges. But broadly speaking, looking at university culture in the UK, it is going to be something different from what you're used to in Japan. So we want you to understand that. And then finally, looking forward to your careers, which is something we must always keep our eye on, is getting you used to, for example, the sectoral cultures. What's the difference between working in the private sector compared to working in the public sector? There is a difference in the culture, in the type of communication within those two sectors, or indeed your functional culture. So what are the different cultures of, for example, a sales manager compared to a hospital administrator? There will be a different way of communicating and different cultures that you need to take into account when you're going into respective industries. And then we also talk about organizational culture, whether you're working for a hierarchical company with many different levels of management, or whether you're working for a flat company. And again, this is really practical thinking for you about what type of company you want to work for, what type of sector, what type of job. And we're going to help you and support you with those decisions. Okay, great. So in summary, the summary of our program aims are, obviously, we want to focus and broaden your subject-specific area. We want to improve your English. We want to improve your academic English and also study skills. We want to improve communication and intercultural skills. If you want to go on to another program, higher level program, we want you, and we want to support you in that journey to the next part of your academic journey. And if you want to go into work, we want to support you equally with that. But fundamentally, we want to develop your practical knowledge, experience, and skills. And that is true of all of the courses that we offer. Okay, so now I'm going to focus, if I can, fairly sort of superficially on each of the three schools, but we can talk about each one in more detail if you have questions. The first school is the School of Business and Enterprise, and the courses that we're offering at that school to international students and home students, of course, are the Business Management International Foundation, the Business Management undergraduate degree, the Bachelor's, but also there are multiple pathways that you can focus on if you want to specialize in finance, marketing, human resource, supply chain management, or retail. So you can actually choose to really focus on where you want to go, if you know where you want to go. If you don't know, then we advise the business management generic degree. And then we also offer, in terms of masters, the Masters in International Management and the MBA program. And yeah, I'd like to, just talk a little bit about that Masters of International Management. It's really putting strategic thinking, business development, marketing, human resource within the context of the international manager. So everything that is presented on that course, for example, marketing will be international marketing. How will you market to different consumers, different markets? How can you penetrate markets? How can you establish yourself in those international markets? So all of the modules on that program are internationally facing, and I always recommend this program over the MBA if you are looking to work internationally. If you want an MBA, of course, our program is solid, and that's going to help you in your promotion. But if you're looking to be more internationally facing, then the Masters of International Management is, I think, the correct one for you. Moving on to the School of Allied Health. This school is actually our fastest growing school. And if I may, I'll just explain why. One of the reasons, you may have heard of the NHS, that's the National Health Service. It's actually Europe's, not just the UK's, but Europe's biggest employer. It employs 1.2 million people. And there is a real increase in demand for staff. One, because of our aging population. We have the same issue as you have in Japan, an aging population, and also, of course, of late COVID. So there's a great demand, job demand from the NHS. And to kind of compound or exacerbate that demand, that has been exacerbated basically by a lot of the EU workers going back to Europe because of Brexit. So we've lost 22,000 NHS workers who were Europeans. They've gone back to their home countries. So there's a real gap in the NHS for work, and also not just the NHS, but private providers, private health providers. So that's why we are seeing a lot of demand for our School of Allied Health and the health programs. So if any of you are interested in getting into health, please do let us know. I just wanted to show you, for example, this is the International Foundation in Health. And as you can see, the first two modules are dedicated to English, and then the other modules really are focusing on, for example, the individual and society, which is about understanding modern society from the perspective of gender, race, and disability. Essential if you're going to go into the health sector. Research methods in social science. This is about understanding and presenting descriptive data on a real world issue. And a lot of our students have obviously been focusing on COVID of late. The world of work, how work and the lack of it affects us socially, physically, and psychologically. So the impact of work on the individual. And then finally, reading contemporary society, understanding how race, gender, age, disability, class have been represented in the media, and how that affects our perception of those areas. So that's the International Foundation. It's a warm-up for the year one, for the year one of the bachelors. And you can see here, if you look at the third module, there's perhaps more what you would expect from a healthcare module, anatomy, physiology. So you really start then to look at it in deeper detail at health. In the second year of the bachelor's, there will be a work placement with a local healthcare company. It may be the NHS, it may be private provider, but I just wanted to highlight something that I said earlier about getting people a placement, and we do that in the second year of the health. Sorry, flipping from one to the other. Okay, and then in the third year, you will have the choice to really focus on which area of health you want to specialize in. Is it vulnerable adults? Is it the elderly? Is it the young children, for example? So in your third year, you'll have the opportunity to really focus on which area you want. And I just wanted finally to kind of just show you the type of jobs that are on offer. When I talk about healthcare, it's not just about being a nurse or a doctor even. Incidentally, if you want to be a nurse or a doctor, these courses are preparation for that. You will not graduate as a nurse from these courses. They are preparation, but you can go into multiple areas, multiple different occupations, even psychology if you want to, social worker, of course, victim care officer, probation officer. There are a whole range of different jobs on offer. Okay. And then finally, I'd like to look at the School of Computing and AI. And just if I may, we offer the International Foundation in Computing, and we offer the BEng, the Bachelors of Engineering in Software Engineering. And there you have a smaller input of language on the International Foundation, but the other modules are fundamentals of computing, of computer programming, so programming notations, programming constructs, testing strategies, a computing project for which you will need to agree and create a smarter project objective or objectives, computers in society, looking at the role of computers in society, understanding some of the legal aspects of software and hardware usage, and then finally foundation principles. This is where you're using your maths, using calculus and numerical methods. And as I say, we can give you a lot more in-depth information if you want to. In terms of the bachelors, you can see a lot of really practical modules there that are going to help you, data structures, algorithms, databases. So if you'd like more information about the bachelors, we can certainly give you, but I just wanted to give you a snapshot. Okay, so just sort of coming towards the end of my talk now, you'll be relieved to hear. I just wanted to go back to something I talked about earlier about how Regent cares about the practical implementation of your academic knowledge. We call it the bridging the knowing versus doing gap. And there is a gap. A lot of students will leave college, university with a lot of academic knowledge, but no practical experience. We want to overcome that. And one of the ways we overcome that, apart from apprenticeships and internships and the like, is our scope sessions, our extracurricular scope sessions, which develop you as a person, not as just as a student, but as a person holistically. So we're looking at the academic side, but also your personality and you professionally, how you come across, how you communicate. And we want you ultimately to achieve your goals and dreams. And so goal setting is a really important part of what we call thinking into character and the scope sessions that we offer. And here are some of the things that we really want to cultivate in you, a positive mindset. And this is really important. Again, sorry to keep using the word COVID, but against the backdrop of COVID, a lot of students, a lot of people have suffered in terms of their mental well-being. We want to develop a positive mindset. We have somebody dedicated to well-being and positive mindset, and they're going to help you if you are feeling homesick or if you are feeling a bit isolated. We can be there to help you. Developing your emotional intelligence, looking at leadership qualities, managerial qualities, how to lead a team, how to manage an international team, for example. If you want to start your own company, how to be an entrepreneur, supporting you on those, because I know entrepreneurship in Japan is not as popular perhaps as in the UK, but if you are thinking of starting your own business, we're there to develop that mindset, okay? So it's a really good program, really good addition to the academic courses that you're going to be studying. Okay, in terms of admissions, we have our admissions team. There they are. Very, very useful, very helpful. In terms of the academic requirements, I think best to talk to your SIUK officer. and they can advise you on academic requirements. And again, I mentioned for the International Foundation Programme, you need an Ielts 5. For the Bachelor's and Master's, you need an Ielts 6. And incidentally, that is a UKVI academic Ielts, not just a generic Ielts, okay? And that is just about everything. Sorry, the end was rushed, but I wanted to leave you some time to ask any questions that you might have. And yeah, so shall I thank you for listening, and I'll pass you back to Mirai.
Thank you so much, Scott, for wonderful and detailed presentation. Sorry for the rushing. I'm sure many people find your intercultural programs and the various courses offering at your school attractive. Since we got quite many questions, shall we move to a Q&A?
Yeah, of course, please.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go for it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so first question, when is the application deadline for 2020 entry?
Yeah, so yeah, our first entry is January. The start date is the end of January. So I would say the deadline would be start of January.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for all courses like Bachelor and Foundation.
Exactly. For the Foundation, for the Bachelors and the Masters, the start of January would be the deadline for those. Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank
you.
you.
Next question is, what is the IELTS entry requirement for bachelor degree?
Yeah, so that is a level 6 with no lower than 5.5 in any of the 4 skills: reading, writing, speaking, listening. And as I said, it is a UKVI academic IELTS. It does need to be the UKVI CELT. Yeah.
Thank you. The third question is there any scholarship for Japanese students?
Yes, at the moment we're offering quite generous scholarships. So for the price for the bachelor's and the master's, the published price is 12,450. So 12450. And we are offering a scholarship at the moment of 4,950. That's 4950 to students. So the net fees for bachelors and also for the masters will be 7,500. So if you deduct 4,950 from 12,450, you get a net of 7,500. So the scholarship is about £5,000, okay? For the International Foundation, the published price is 9,250. We're offering a scholarship of 1,750, which means that the net price is again 7,500. And you know, this is, I think, one of the best scholarships on the market at the moment. And we'd like to attract, you know, the right type of student for the scholarship. So if you're interested, please talk to Mirai, talk to SIUK, and then we can look at your results and make a decision about the scholarship. But I hope that answers your question.
That's really nice scholarship. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you.
Another question. Okay, I will just read out the question. I'm currently working for a Japanese company and considering to do the master about business study at UK. Mm-hmm. But she or he is nearly 30 years old. But what is the average age for your business course?
Yeah, you know, for the masters, the average age is 35. So this student will not feel in any way, you know, too mature. And we welcome people who have been working in industry. we think that they bring so much to the classes. And, when applying, we look at, of course, at the academic qualifications, but we also look at work experience. And if you're a mature student, you will feel totally comfortable with our students because, as I say, the average age on all courses is 30. So on the masters, it's 35. You'll be absolutely fine. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Okay, hold on. Okay, next question is, after graduated from university, there was a 1-year gap year, but can she or he applies for the master course?
So this student has studied in Japan, maybe done the bachelor's,
maybe, yes.
and 1-year gap year. Of course, as long as the results for her bachelor's or his bachelor's meets our minimum requirement, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to go directly from the bachelor's into the master's. In fact, as I say, we welcome people who have maybe traveled a bit or got a bit of work experience before they come into the master's. So that's absolutely fine.
Great. Thank you, Scott. This is not the question, but the person who asked about the average age for your business course commented, 35 is beyond my expect. I'm now relieved and will check your course later. Thank you and your advice.
That's good. Thank you. Yeah. Good to hear.
Thank you. It's almost time, so we need to finish this seminar, and I will ask. 皆様、そろそろウェビナーの終了時間が、近づいておりますが、もしですね、コメントでしたり、追加の質問がございましたら、弊社もしくは、チャットの方にお願いいたします。Yeah, I think we need to finish this seminar soon. So, okay. 皆様ありがとうございます。本日ですね、リージェントカレッジのスコットさんから、様々なコースや英語学習のポイント、インターカルチャルな、環境についてのお話がございましたが、少しでも皆様の、こちらのウェビナーがですね、皆様のお力になれればと思います。弊社 SIUK ですが、個別で、留学コンサルティングもご提供させていただいておりまして、またこういったセミナーも、随時開催をしております。10月15日の金曜日の、16時から、イギリス、アイルランド留学フェアという大きなイベントがオンラインにて開催されますので、よろしければこちらもご確認いただけますと幸いです。Okay, Scott. So this is the end of the webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. Have a great weekend.
You too. Have a great weekend. Please take care. 皆さん、本日ありがとうございました。
Bye.